Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon was released on March 8th of 2002 and is the first set available for purchase when I started to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Some of the most known cards in this game's history have been released in LOB, such as Exodia, Dark Magician, and the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now while those cards might not be part of our current metagame, some of them are, including Raigeki and Monster Reborn. LOB is also the home of a forbidden card, Pot of Greed. Welcome to the Legacy Crusaders YouTube channel. My name is Benji.
And in this series, myself and various opponents
we'll be trying to beat each other using the best possible deck that can be built using every set released in order, including starter decks, structure decks, and promotional cards, whether it be from video games, movies, or even the McDonald's pack. This is playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In order. Clearly, this series is based on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series from Cimoooooooo and Nyhmnim. The difference is I don't actually care for the pack opener app on YGOProDeck.com, so we're actually going to be just building the best possible deck we can with the cards in the set. The next episode will be Starter Deck Yugi and Kaiba, which came out on the same day, but after LOB. That's actually when I first got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Those decks were out at the time. Metal Raiders had not yet been released, but it came out very soon afterwards. So let's take a look at cards that are worth playing. Now at this point in the game's history, there's not much use for monsters levels based on anything other than whether or not they require tributes or not, but that will change at some point. But we're going to go through in order with the purpose of finding good effects, maybe some interesting stat lines. I think the cards are alphabetical by level, so the first monster on our list is Arm Ninja, which is important in this format as it is a flip effect monster that can destroy a spell card. Even set one, so if your opponent wants to set a spell to bluff that they have a trap hole, you can still destroy it. Additionally, this is the only out for Swords of Revealing Light in this format, and because we're playing traditional, there are 3 of them. Next are the Exodia Pieces, which there are, while they are in this set, there is no way to search them at the moment, so all you can really do to resolve Exodia is to play Swords of Revealing Light to stall like crazy, plus setting a bunch of 2,000 defenders, or at least establishing a big monster. So it might be easier just to establish attacking, because if you just put up Blue Eyes White Dragon, you might be able to kill your opponent while at the same time setting up a wall, but I don't know if it's worth spending your monsters on the Exodia Pieces, as there's no way to get them back into your hand, and there's no way to search them. Skull Servants in this set. In the future, there will be King of Skull Servants, but not for several years, so that's a card worth remembering exists. Nyhmnim and Man-Eater Bug are flip effects that sort of act like trap cards for this format, because there are only 3 traps in this format, and they are mostly bad. But they're both good at clearing defenders for you to get in for game. They're better if you have Swords of Revealing Light up, preventing your opponent from attacking them. They're good at stopping you from getting OTK'd, because if your opponent has 2 or 3 big monsters and they attack into you at one, you can bounce or destroy the other. Although they would be best against tribute monsters, especially Nyhmnim, which is strictly worse than Man-Eater Bug because it's a non-permanent method of removing a monster from the field. Now their effects are mandatory, so they will activate if you stop defense them, meaning if you have no monsters, you can force your opponent to either destroy or bounce one of their own monsters. Nyhmnim would usually bounce itself in that case, and Man-Eater Bug would usually destroy itself, unless of course their opponent has a monster. None of these other low-level monsters are worth noting at the moment. Dragoness of the Wicked Knight is one of several instant fusion targets played in this game throughout the history. So Dragoness was played in Goki because it was level 3 for making MX Saber Invoker and summoning a warrior, allowing them to go into Isolde. This was also a warrior, so any level 3 plus, well, any warrior in their deck plus Dragoness was Isolde, which would do full Goki combo. Other fusion monsters worth noting in this set would be Dark Flare Dragon, which is used in some versions of Rockets for making Striker Dragon. It's a level 4 lower Dark Dragon monster. And Carbonala Warrior, which is a level 4 Earth for making Naturia Beast. On the list of monsters we've passed here that are level 3 or lower, there aren't anything worth knowing except that Gravity Bind is a card that will be released in a few sets, and then level 3 or lower monsters will be more relevant. A Giant Soldier of Stone is the best one because it does have the highest attack and defense of a monster of this level. It's actually stronger than some level 4 monsters that are worth playing in this format. First level 4 monster on this list is worth playing. It's Aquamador. High attack and defense for what it needs to do. Oh, while we're talking about fusion monsters, there's no real reason to play a fusion monster in this game because mostly the polymerization spell card will get stuck in your hand waiting for your fusion material. And if you're playing anything other than Gaia the Dragon Champion, the monsters are too weak to play because they'll just get run over by battle and can't really destroy anything. And if you are playing Gaia the Dragon Champion, Curse of Dragon is worth playing. Gaia the Dragon Champion is strictly a worse 2 tribute monster. Although if you establish Gaia before your opponent can establish Blue Eyes White Dragon or Dark Magician or some other 2 tribute monsters, or 1 tribute monsters, you should be in a winning position, so it's not like a bad strategy. Also, polymerization and fusion summoning is one of 2 ways to special summon in this first set of Yu-Gi-Oh! So it's not the worst. I did play this when I was a youngster. and I had 3 Gaias, the Dragon Champions, and Polys. It's not the worst thing ever. We should also be noting monster type and attribute for the different field spells that are available in this set, as well as equipment spells for trying to gain some sort of edge. So this is a Dark Flare Dragon, here's a Carbonala Warrior, which I have played several times in more current formats. The highest attack monster in this set for level 4 or lower is a Skull Red Bird, followed by Urabi. So those are going to be must-plays. Mystical Elf has 2k defense, and so does Spirit of the Harp. But you have Giant Soldier Stone and Aquamador, so if you want to go to these, you do have to decide that the other ones aren't worth playing. 1300 is a pretty solid attack stat, but when you're deciding between 2 monsters, if they have higher attack and defense, you might as well get something that does both. So like, Trial of Nightmare is 13.9, but Witty Phantom is 14.13. So you wouldn't pick one over the other, because they're both Fiends and Darks. Level 5 monsters are really bad in this format, like this fish here. Mizarumi is level 5, with only 1400 attack and 1600 defense. So its defense is lower than a lot of level 4s. Its attack is on the higher end, but it's still not high enough. But Reaper of the Cards is here, which is the only out for trap hole in the set, because it's the only card that destroys face-down traps. It's got a decent defense, but if you're doing a single tribute set, your opponent will know what it is, and all they have to do is set spells to try and bluff out where their traps are. So if your opponent's not on the Armed Ninja, then, you know, Reaper could be something. They might play Reaper because Reaper might be more important for outing the trap hole, which is like an unavoidable card in this set. But Armed Ninja would mean setting cards is dangerous as well. Succubus Knight is a high attack tribute monster, but it's not that high. Dark Magician is strictly worse than playing Blue Eyes, just because you can't get over a Blue Eyes White Dragon with a Dark Magician in this set without multiple equipment spells. The only monster that gets over Blue Eyes White Dragon with 1 equipment spell is a Trihorn Dragon, specifically equipped with Dragon Treasure. Other things worth noting, I think I passed a monster that I wanted to mention, just because it's kind of a cool history thing, is Dark King of the Abyss is in this set. So yeah, Dark King of the Abyss, level 3, 12/8, is actually the nemesis of Dark Ruler Hades, and appears on a lot of cards with Dark Ruler Hades where they're fighting one another. Now, Hades happens to have good attack stats, and a good effect, but Dark King of the Abyss came out first. You'll see other cards on this list, like Petite Angel, have been retrained in future sets as well. Let's see, we have an equipment spell for most types, but not all types. So we have like Beast, Spellcaster, Fiend. So like some of the stronger monsters are Spellcasters and Fiends, so you could use these to get above your opponent's cards, their attack and defense values. But the problem with these cards is that if the monster dies, then you lose the equipment spell. So, and since we're playing traditional format, there's going to be triple Dark Hole, Fissures, Raigeki in the format, so it's dangerous to play equipment spells, where it might be better off playing something like a field spell, which isn't linked to the monster, but all the field spells in this set do affect both monsters. Final Flame is in here, which is a high burn card. Okazi, I'm not sure, is in this set, so if you have a couple of cards that inflict burn damage or increase life points, they're just not worth playing, because you just neg your hand 1 card to do a limited amount of damage, and the damage isn't worth justifying. But because you can only summon 1 monster per turn, having live cards in your hand is also something that's worth meriting, but it doesn't have to be a burn card. It could be Fissure, it could be a field spell, it could be something else you could play that does something more in the long term. I wouldn't play I wouldn't play any of those cards right away. I wouldn't play any burn or life point gain cards. I'd rather play equipment spells or field spells. Everyone should be playing Monster Reborn, because other than starting your first turn with it not being live, after that it's just a card that says pick and choose the best monster available from that you, even tribute monsters, to summon it, and it gets around Trap Hole, which is like the hardest and most annoying card to deal with in this format, aside from Swords of Revealing Light. Everyone should be playing Pot of Greed and Raigeki. Remove Trap is only good against face-up traps, and in this format there would only be 1 face-up trap, and that would be the Dragon Capture Jar. So if you go all in on the Curse of Dragon, Blue Eyes White Dragon, Trihorn Dragon, those high-level attack monsters, your big monsters could just get stuck in face-up defense position until they get destroyed. And if you're not playing Reaper of the Cards, you don't have any other out for Dragon Capture Jar, so they're both like side deck cards. The Dragon Capture Jar if your opponent's going heavy on the big dragons, and the Remove Trap to deal with it. Stop Defense can deal with some of the high defense monsters, as none of the level 4 or lower monsters can destroy a 2000 defender without either putting in an attack first, or getting a significant attack boost, or using a board wipe of some sort. And that brings us Trap Hole, which is generally a 3 of in these deck lists. And I think that's going to kind of cover everything we need to cover in the set. We're going to build our deck, and we'll be back with the deck list in a moment. Alright, so this is the list I've compiled. I'm playing against Desperate Oak 48. Link in the description to check out his channel. Oak, are you ready?
I am as ready as I can be.
All right, so Oak did not play when LOB was out. I did because I'm old as all hell. So I should have an edge, even if it's a small one. So this is my list. I'll explain the differences when we finish our match. We'll try and discuss the choices we made because obviously we had the advantage of being able to pick the best possible cards we can play. Oh, we actually might need to host the game under traditional if you didn't set that up that way.
Oh, it's still traditional.
Just making sure, because looking at my deck, believe it or not, I picked Pot of Greed and it has the Forbidden symbol on it. So, you know, if we host the game, it's going to be an issue. So following this, we're going to discuss the differences in our deck building choices, and then maybe we'll meet up and do this again for starter deck Yugi and Kaiba next time. But anyways, to the game. All right, so game 1, LOB.
I wish you the best of luck.
I wish you luck as well, but not as much. Now, we are playing traditional format, but we're playing current rules. So that's Master Rule 5, Post Errata, current ban list, but traditional. So, and we're not drawing for turn. There's double field spell. So this is how the format might actually play if you played like a tournament that was just traditional with Konami. Like they've done those before, like Attack of the Forbidden card was like a 64-man single elimination thing. I think it was won by True Draco of all things, and it lost to like Frog FTK. So I'm trying to decide if it makes sense to go first or second. I'm actually going to go second for the extra card. Plus, I can't. Most of this is just beating up your opponent's cards, and you can't beat up cards if the cards are, you know, not on the field. So I can't destroy your cards unless I kill your cards.
I don't even know what this hand is.
It appears your hand is just a way to neg 4 or 5 cards. Oh, you opened a pretty decent one.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how you go neg 5, because I'm going to kill that Skull Redbird.
Ooh.
With Fissure.
Oh.
The best spell in the game back in the day, when you only had one... when you only had access to one dark hole. There's only one dark hole and one Raigeki in the original format. Double Swords of Revealing Light. I think one card destruction or 2 card destruction. I don't remember much else about the ban list. I guess 1 Pot of Greed. You sure you're happy with the decision to play these neg 1 cards?
A little, but I'm gonna.
You just used a nuclear missile like a fly swatter.
Yeah, starting with all the burn cards was really not the greatest.
Yeah, I've been looking up the Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series in general just to see if other people were doing it, because I figured besides me wanting to do it, and I want to do it, oh, damn, well now you use the fly swatter like a fly swatter. So yeah, besides wanting to do it because I played back then and I have a massive interest in the old school Yu-Gi-Oh! I didn't like that they were drafting from packs and getting mixed results. Like Nyhmnim's never gonna win.
Poor kid.
All right. Let me see. What can I do? I'll pass. But yeah, I didn't want to play neg 1s like those spells because there's really nothing else to do. Like an extra monster in hand, even if you can't summon it right away, is just like a safer card.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to invest more monsters and lose to Dark Hole or something?
Did you build a side deck in here?
I did, and I tried to account for possible monster choices and things you'd play. Like I'm siding like several field spells.
Mm-hmm.
So if depending on what your like the obvious big monsters are Arabi and all right, you know, Arabi plus Skull Redbird. So I guess I'll pass. So after Skull Redbird and Arabi, the monster choice is kind of a little open. So depending on what is chosen to be played, different field spells can give me an edge or take away an edge. So that was my theory on my deck building.
I haven't used field spells since I was running Triamid online.
Oh, field spells are the best. In future sets, we're going to have terraforming in here, and there's going to be better field spells than what we have now. Dark Hole.
Oh.
I never Dark Hole for 1, unless I have to.
Skull Redbird really is just tanking.
Yeah, I mean, it still can't break a 2K Defender, so you need to do things like Dark Hole stuff or find some other way around it. So you're already down 2 Skull Redbirds. And I know you've got at least 1 card in your hand you couldn't play. Okay, so let's see what that is.
Ooh.
That is an Exodia piece. That explains this weird, weird line of play. I'm just gonna attack you for game.
Ooh.
It's as simple as just trying to maintain the board. So you don't want to you don't want to put too many cards out there if you don't have to. So that's game 1, side decking. Other than Exodia being there, I don't really know what to worry about. So let me put these in.
Okay. Hopefully
I don't know how much I'm gonna need of my side deck. That's like the unclear part. Like, there's just not enough cards worth taking out to put in. I will go... No, I don't even want to overcommit to that. I'll go with that. I'm also siding monsters with field spells. So like,
I think by...
to change the edge up. Alright, my hand feels similar to what yours was last time, but not a bunch of... Not negging on it, but too many of the same thing. Oh man. I actually forgot you did all that life point gaining.
Oh yeah. Well, like, my biggest issue is that I'm so used to current Yu-Gi-Oh! And like, I run Altergeist, so I'm so used to needing life points for the Solemn cards. So I, like, immediately my brain went to, I need as many red medicine in here as possible.
Yeah, I mean, the burn cards are a little better than the life point gain cards. There'll be better life point gain cards in the future. So,
I was kind of expecting that.
Like, Nimble Mamangas and, like, Metal Raiders, I think. That's, like, a good life point gain card that doesn't, like, neg you advantage.
It's been a while since I've worked with vanilla monsters.
I mean, classically, they were stronger. Ow. Alright, they're stronger because they don't have effects. They kind of, like, broke the game at points when they started adding ridiculous effects to monsters that actually had a lot of attack points. It just took a while.
Now, the thing is, Blue Eyes White Dragon is a 2 tribute monster. And 2 cards on the field is a little...
I mean, who would play Blue Eyes White Dragon? I mean, the Dragon capture jars in this format. You flip it, then the game is over.
That's very true.
Well, now you have 2 monsters on the field. But you're also playing Exodia, so...
That is not super useful. Yeah, this is a format when the like 3 set cards is really a little scary.
It definitely can be. Let's find out what that is. Wow, how am I supposed to get over any of this? Getting over any of this is a pain.
I'm waiting for the man-eater bug to come down. Like, that's kind of...
I mean, it would be helpful if I had a man-eater bug here.
Oh, this is gonna hurt, but...
Yeah, Swords of Revealing Light. You're familiar?
Oh, never mind. Oh. Like that's the my other big issue without some of these is I used to play Swords of Revealing Light and all these cards when I was younger and still watched the show.
No.
And now that I've grown older and I'm using Endymion and Altergeist, I've just forgotten what all these cards do. Ooh.
I didn't expect you to do these flip summons.
Ooh.
Because I didn't expect you to attack under the swords. Because I mean, what am I really setting? I did set a Skull Red Bird, but most likely I'd be setting a Man-Eater Bug or a Giant Soldier or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, a Robbie.
I want to do this.
Oh no. I may have mentioned in my little video on this that still under swords. That I did play triple Gaia the Dragon Champion before.
Mm-hmm.
But he's no Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Oh, okay.
I had it, I just didn't want to commit. Because it was just too many monsters at the time. But I mean, if you want a Dark Hole one Blue Eyes, I mean, that would suck for me.
If you could see my hand right now. This is... Oh.
Karibo?
Oh, I wish it was Karibo. Karibo is, I think, one of the most adorable Yu-Gi-Oh monsters there is.
Oh, I love Karibo. I played a deck with triple Karibo back in the day. No! My Man-Eater Bug.
Haha. I kind of wish that Karibo had won the structure deck poll, mostly because I just kind of want to see what that would be like, you know?
I can't even stick a 1200 monster to the board. Alright. Yeah, I don't know what they would do with a Karibo deck. It would... I don't know, I feel like a Karibo deck should stop... besides stopping damage, it should start giving you life or something. Mm-hmm. I guess there's Arrow Mages and other decks that do that.
I want more Arrow Mage support. I think that's a really fun deck, especially with Ancient Sacred Wyvern.
Ancient Sacred Wyvern I haven't played in a long time, since Light Swords were played in Infernoid.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
Ooh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now it's time for my own Skull Red Bird.
What's Skull Red Bird?
Aw. Back to the drawing board.
Yeah, you can't commit big monsters.
No, I really can't.
Go ahead.
Ooh. That face down is really terrifying, I'm not gonna lie.
You want to guess what it is?
I think it's a trap hole or a dragon capture jar.
I mean, it could be anything. It could even be a boat.
It could be a Solemn Judgment, which hasn't been released yet.
Metal Raiders. And that's a card I didn't want to play back in the day. Oh, really? Mystical Elf.
It's funny hearing... because, Upstart Goblin wasn't limited at first. It was unlimited, and people weren't playing it because it just gave... They saw, it just gives your opponent 3,000 life points. Why would I play that? Right.
Well, technically, if you play triple Upstart, you actually don't want to draw Upstart. You just want it so that when you do draw cards, it's if you had to draw a card that isn't a card you want, you get another shot. If it were up to you, if it was up to yourself, you should just put all the Upstarts on the bottom of the deck so you never see them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, good game.
Yeah, man. So my game plan was to play Celtic Guardian in case you were just on Witty Phantom, who has higher defense, and try and take a small attack point edge over everything besides Arabi and Skull Redbird, which I figured we'd both be playing at max.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And I was also citing Yami in case you weren't on Witty Phantom. So I'll screen share you my deck list and kind of go over it for a sec, and then I'll pull up your deck list so we can discuss it. So this is the list I went with. So I got the biggest attackers are the Redbirds, the Urabis. The next best monster in terms of attack and defense is Witty Phantom at 14-13. And then there were a couple of 14s, but I went with Celtic Guardian because if you just didn't play it, then Sogan gave me the attack edge.
Yes.
And then these are the high defenders that have the highest attack. And if I found you were playing Celtic Guardian, I was going to go into Yami, and Yami would give a boost to Witty Phantom, Aquamador, things like that. And Swords Revealing Light, which is at 3 in this format, is the most annoying card, so I was maining 2 Armed Ninja to out your swords if you played it. Because D-Spell doesn't come out till the starter decks as an out for it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the one Monster Reborn, just in case.
Well, yeah, the power 1-ofs are good, because there's not a lot of ways to play around Trap Hole. The only thing you can do is either Reborn, or you can fusion summon Gaia the Dragon Champion, which is what I was doing at the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I'm like, well, it was between that and Lord of Dragons for Flute of Summoning Dragon, which comes out in the Kaiba deck. But there was no way to special summon, and Trap Hole was too good, Fissure is too good, Dark Hole and Raigeki take care of too many monsters, so you want to add... Trap cards were like the least avoidable thing, so I wanted to go big on those. I think I had 1 stop defense in just because if I'm going to go neg on a card, like when you were playing I'll pull up your list in a second, but if you're going to go neg on a card instead of like gaining 500 life points, changing a monster to attack position that you couldn't get over could just be a better use of a card. So just stop defensing like a Man-Eater bug and forcing it to kill itself because it's a mandatory effect.
Yep.
Could be better than just gaining 500 on like the potions. In the side, I had the 3rd swords. I was figured if somehow you just kept getting over me, I would just go heavy swords and see if you had Armed Ninja to out it, and assumed you wouldn't. Stop defense if all of your monsters were high defense, which I considered siding in for when I saw the Exodia Pieces. And the Succubus Knights were here in case I saw the Dragon Capture Jar in your deck, so that I could at least play a high attack monster that wouldn't go to defense. Same thing for Dark Magician. So that was like my basic strategy breakdown. I'll pull up your list and see what you had in mind. All right, so what's the strategy here?
So I wanted to more or less kind of smoke screen it a bit. Of course, you saw just all the burn damage and all the healing kind of outright.
I opened all my tribute monsters in game 2, so that's why I was saying I had a similar hand. I had like both Gaias and Blue Eyes.
No, I wanted to kind of use like sort of smoke screen to kind of gauge what you were playing, and then if I needed to, come in with some more 2K defense stuff, and then kind of will you down for a more burn game, or side in all the Gaia stuff for a slightly more like aggro kind of strategy here. I didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't think about Swords of Revealing Light. I was kind of most worried about Trap Hole when thinking about this, but I was kind of wanting to use the first game to gauge what you were doing, and then use my side deck to kind of do what I could to try and play around that.
Well, there's not much you can do with the... There's not much you can do to play around Trap Hole. The best way to out a Trap Hole is to throw a monster in it. And hopefully it's not a Blue Eyes, or because that's like the ultimate waste.
The ultimate hurt.
For our future matches, I'm going to recommend you avoid playing anything that doesn't provide a body or kill something. Because if it doesn't do either of those two things, or build up tribute fodder, it's going to be an unproductive use of a card. And you're going to find yourself holding like 4 monsters sometimes, and you can only play 1 per turn. There's really no like way to special them. So it's a sort of like you've drawn and just had an unplayable red medicine. If you draw like a Gaia and a Curse of Dragon, you can't play it, or just 2 monsters. So you want to try and start off with more playable cards. Just anything you could use. Like the Final Flames would have been better than the Hinotamas and the Sparks. I mean, because Sparks is a joke card, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's no reason to main this over Final Flame.
Like the Final Flame was only because I've never really dueled you, so I wasn't sure what kind of strategy you would be going for. So if you were also going for like a slightly more burn level of play, the Final Flame would almost like aid you in that because it also. No, I'm thinking of a completely different card. Never, ignore me then.
What card were you thinking of?
There's a card that deals 1,000 to your opponent and 500 to you, but I think that comes up in the next set.
Yeah, that's Tremendous Fire.
Yes, there it is.
It has a similar. It has a similar card artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is actually the alternate art of Final Flame, because I'm pretty sure this is definitely a card that we got censored.
It is. I don't know. I like this more than the other art, but
yeah, I don't know. I'm not like these aren't the artworks I grew up with, so to me, these are weird arts, but I guess they are what was intended. Anyways, so we are going to come back in another episode with Starter Deck Yugi and Kaiba combined into these decks. Do you think this first match gave you an idea of a better like game plan? All right, because you can play Exodia in this format, but if you were, I would like swords. But I'm prepared for swords, you know. So you gotta, because I know what the annoying cards are. You got to know what the annoying cards are and play around those and try and get the edge where you can. All right, so that's gonna wrap this up. Check out Desperate Oak, and I'll see you guys next time in episode 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! In Order.